How is everybody? Wait, what am I using? Is my audio better? Is it good? Is it better? Hi, is my audio okay? Sounds great. Okay, because I forgot to shift it to my monocaster. Just wanted to make sure that everything sounds great. Okay. Um. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me say hi to everybody. How's your weekend? How is everybody's weekend? Lucy in the Sky, Carla Girl, Just the Tea, Z, Carol, Marie, Shelling, Leah, Consuelo, Carol, Angel Star, Bora Winkle, Fire Butterfly, Reg, Darren, OSP, Kathleen, Z, L- Angel Star. There, my dog is looking at me, but he doesn't seem to be interested right now. Um, he's he's so lazy. He's been so lazy the last several days. I think it's the change in the weather. Um, but also I'm unable to take him out because I have like this Tuesday thing that happened. Work. Z, Arlene, Dawn Marie, Helena, Nancy, Summer, S613. Fire Butterfly is on Twitch. Rain, Darren. Okay. Did I miss anybody? Christy, Dawn Marie, A Bronzy, Arlene, MLB, Carmi, Linax, Miranda, my lip tint. Ah, thank you. Should I put a link in the description box for the color? Bang Luna, Pia Anderson, Finding April, Kez, James McLaughlin, hello, Livia, Finding April, Bang Luna, Pia, Mama Ja, Amy Cohen. I hope I'm not skipping anybody. Elizar, Chrissy, Miranda, Carmi, Christy, Dawn Marie. Okay, I think I said hi to Miso Sue is also on Twitch. I am Claudia, Kay Anis, and Philo Chill. Hi everybody. So I hope my audio sounds good because I forgot to shift from one audio source to another. So okay. And this has a new, like, look at that. It has a new, like, oh, my dog is here. Okay, one second. Okay. Say hi, baby. Say hi to everybody. Say hi to them. Wait, let me adjust my mic. Say hi to them first. Hi. Grace them with your cuteness. Good, good, good. Say hi, hi, hi. I wasn't with him the entire day yesterday, so. You like my lipstick? Hi, the audio. Okay, give me 1 second. Someone's sent an audio is fine. Hi, Debak. They're saying hi to you, baby. Say hi. Can we get someone to film BTS's first group dance practice in over 3 years? I'm pretty sure someone's gonna do that. So the assumption is that's going to happen in a bit. I don't know what time they're gonna rehearse. Maybe 10, maybe 1. I don't know. But according to RM, they are going to yesterday. He said that we're going to they are going to start rehearsing today. So, well, I don't know what time it is in Korea. I'm assuming they're gonna start like maybe late morning or early afternoon or whatever. So, um, I'm excited. I'm sure they're gonna film it. I'm sure there's going to be a documentary. I'm sure it's going to be released in the theater. So, is he vomiting? No, he hasn't been doing that, which is good. Thank you very much for asking. But just today before we started, he drank like I don't know how many cups. He was just drinking again, like heavily, and that's actually how his vomiting started. But I'm hoping that it's fine. But he hasn't done that, and the energy is fine. I the doctor called me. He asked me about certain stuff, and everything seems fine. And he said like just keep him there, and if anything changes, just call me. But for now, he thinks that it was just really him drinking too much water. So he didn't feel the need for me to bring him in. RM said tomorrow. Yesterday he said tomorrow. So that would be today, which is well, technically today, but probably a little later because it's very early in South Korea. I'm sure they're not going to start like 7 o'clock. I'm sure they're going to, probably early afternoon or late in the morning. But it was just I just him saying that it just made me feel so happy because I felt like, oh, they're back together. They're starting to rehearse. Maybe we'll get something in Christmas just as a Christmas gift to us. But the minute that he said that they are going to make a comeback late March, I thought, oh my God, you should have said that. Now everyone's going to make a comeback in March. So March, April. Watch the entirety of K-pop making a comeback. But what can you do, right? Um, are we getting a group performance? Oh, is that for the concert of Jin? Probably. I don't think I have this gut feel that although they may appear as seven in Jin's concert, and Jin might ask actually, I don't know if they're gonna deliver a full performance during the concert. I think they're gonna wanna do that in their show. So let's see. But yes, the plan is I don't know. So I said that I'm going to make a trip to South Korea winter of this year if they're gonna do anything. But they haven't announced anything and it's getting so late. So I don't know about that. But if they're gonna make a comeback in March, then I will plan March, April in Korea, and then of course the US. So let's see. I bet they will do something. Finale. They probably will appear. I don't know if they're gonna be like doing if they're gonna do like a performance. Um I feel like they're gonna do that for the group. What's going on? I've been stuck with crazy amount of work. Sylvia, so yesterday, RMV and J Hope attended the W Korea event for breast cancer. And the J- well, RM actually mentioned that they are now full steam ahead in preparing for their concert, well, their comeback. And he stated, and that was yesterday, last night, their time. He stated that they were going to they're going to start rehearsing today. He said that tomorrow, and I quote, we're starting rehearsal tomorrow. So that would be today or well, maybe later today. So that's what happened. But also Jin has a comeback, as you know. It's he has well, not a comeback, but the anchor for his concert is happening. And of course, armies are curious whether or not the rest of the BTS members are going to make an appearance. So my guess is that they might say hello, they might do some whatever, just because they know that armies are really looking forward to seeing them. But I don't think that they're gonna do a performance, a full-on performance, primarily because it's Jin's day. That's his concert. I don't think they would want to let him shine, kinda something like that. If they do make an appearance, just because they know that armies are really waiting for them. So that's just my guess. Okay, right last Run Jin, but the start of Run BTS 7. I think they will have used that they will first appear with Jin as their excuse for missing that presidential thing. I think they might be in the they might be in the audience. Yeah, maybe they will join the game. Maybe they will join the game. Maybe that's a good option. I think them joining the game will sort of satiate, not really satiate, but sort of give army something, right? Because they know that we miss them so much, and I think they know that just any kind of appearance, armies are gonna be happy. So if they do join the game, that'll like make us happy because they're together again. And it is Run BTS, that's Run Jin, Jin. So they might do that. Who knows? Maybe each of them will do a challenge with Jin on stage. Maybe. That would be nice, actually. That'd be nice. Maybe all seven appear and tour dates. Okay. I think we gave them enough time for the rest to actually join. We have a lot to talk about. Will we recognize Suga? Maybe all seven. Okay, so we have a lot to talk about. I'm gonna do negative to positive. How's that? So let's talk about Adore versus Min first, and then let's talk about some of the major moves that major music companies, labels, streaming platforms are doing in the US that will most likely affect anybody that's trying to market themselves in the US. And then let's talk about a little bit of RM and Bottega. So I said that I'm going to do a BTS special, brand special. So I'm going to go through and analyze and just present you with some statistics and facts about BTS's brand power. But most of the, so I was able to actually get some stats, exact numbers from some of my friends still within the industry. I'll do all the like the complete presentation of this in the members only live stream, but I'm going to do like just like a teaser for RM and Bottega because I know that was it Bang Luna asking for RM and Bottega. And then we're gonna do news and updates because that's the most positive thing. You can't get more negative than Minijin. So can we start? It's in the news, and I have to start with something negative so that we end on a positive note, right? Because if I start with the positive, then by the end of the live stream, you're all pissed, which I don't want to happen. I want you all smiling and happy and giddy after the live stream. Okay, you're so scared of getting tickets. So am I. I am so scared as well. There's a lot of things I'm scared about actually with this return, with this comeback. It's just I'm not even a member of BTS, but I'm feeling the pressure, which is kind of crazy. Okay. I wonder who the choreographer is will be for the new MV. Would love for for the dance line to contribute something, right? Would love for that for that to happen. Although we know that they constantly do that, like they're actually changing the choreography for the members, and we've seen them do that. It's just that I'd love for them to be like do something collaboratively, the dance line, so that they and then yeah choreograph something. Okay, let's go for emotional sport picture at the end. Correct. Okay, let's go for the new jeans and adore. So actually, I've heard of this news. There are several things that we're going to be covering about the case, but this thing I already heard this like I think maybe 2 months ago, at maybe 6 weeks to 8 weeks ago. So there is this new group. So you have the Talkies, which is the fan base of New Jeans, who are actually they are now a fan base of Minijin actually. But New Jeans, there is a new group emerging and nobody knows who they are. They are claiming that they are quote unquote objective, but they are supporting the return of New Jeans to Adore. Okay. So they held a press conference in front of HYBE yesterday, following their petition for Adore to return to its original state. And when we say original state, that means Min Hee-jin as the CEO, New Jeans as the talent, and all those stuff. So, however, so they kept on saying that it was successful, people were there, but someone snapped a picture of the alleged event and nobody attended. So I pushed it down to okay. So I'm not quite sure who these people are, but they're saying that this is the event. So they were there for about an hour and they were claiming that it was a successful event, that people actually came. Now, the only thing is that I also don't know this person who's talking, who's posting all of this picture. She might have, or he might have been there after the event, right? So let's give them the benefit of the doubt because none of us here was actually there during the event that they claim to have been successful. But this is some of the things that they demanded. So they actually submitted some things to both ADOR and Minheejin and HYBE. So they said that they want ADOR to return to its original state. As I've said, it means the return of Minheejin as the CEO and NewJeans working under Minheejin. So they said that these are the conditions. Number one, both parties must take actions to ensure that everything is actually going to move forward objectively, meaning nobody's going to destroy the other party. They must publicly acknowledge and apologize for the disappointments caused to each other to restore trust. And they said that it has to be a joint statement to be released to the press. And there has to be a press conference to convey a message of harmony and mutual prosperity. And then after that, after the apology, after the press conference and a joint statement, they want both parties to retract or drop all of the cases that they filed against the other. Okay. And then they also want a contract resolution. So they said that HYBE must reinstate former Min Hee-jin as the CEO, and they must codify a prevention clause in the shareholders agreement to ensure no future attempts are made to indirectly remove CEO, the Min Hee-jin. So meaning they don't want her, they want HYBE to actually sign a document and release an agreement stating that they are never going to be firing Min Hee-jin ever again. And then they want to establish an arbitration committee that will ensure effective implementation of the agreed terms. And this arbitration committee will be made up of 7 members from HYBE, 7 members from Min Hee-jin's camp, and 5 neutral members. The 5 neutral members will be one non-Min artist fandom, 3 jointly nominated external members, and 1 proactive pro-Min artist supporting fandom. So those are their conditions. I am not quite sure who this is, but they are insisting that they're not, of course, they're insisting that they're not related to Min and they're not getting paid by anybody. This is just them thinking that they said that they know that this is the best move forward. Okay, so a lot of talkies are actually against this fandom because what talkies want is for Min New Jeans to come back to Min and for Min to be able to manage the career of New Jeans without interference. That's what they saying they want. Now, if that means they said they don't really care, if that means Min actually goes back to HYBE for as long or to ADOR for as long as it is guaranteed that New Jeans will not work with anybody but Min. Okay. All right. So that's that's the demand of this group. Now, the other day actually, some new Kakao Talk logs have surfaced. So this was submitted by HYBE, and I guess someone uncovered it. Now, someone sent me the translation on X. I haven't asked my friends to translate it for me, but this is the conversation. It's between Min Hee Jin, Yi Sang Woo, which is the lawyer of Sejong, sorry, a lawyer in Sejong, which represents Min, and Shin Dong Hun, which is the vice president. Okay, so they were talking about what moves to take. So this is the conversation. and this is the translation as per the person who sent it to me on X. So this is Min talking. 4:18 p.m. How about this time we have the mother send the emails directly? So there she's proposing, we all know this, that she actually wanted the parents to make an active participate to actively participate in the entire thing, believing that if the parents are involved, they are going to be more credible because Koreans are going to sympathize with the parents, right? Okay, so she said, how about this time we have the mother send the emails directly? And the email is the one that complains to HYBE about Bang Shiyuk not saying hello to the New Jeans member. That's one. And second, about people or fans comparing I'll It to New Jeans. Okay, so that is the email. Okay, so the other person said as a reply the other person said I can sense that kind of framing too, so I think it'll be better to respond directly. And then this is Min again saying, do they think we're 50-50 or something? Effing idiots. Okay. So obviously she thinks that 50-50 was a weak case or whatever, they're pushovers or I don't know. Okay. I personally think responding with materials or evidence there is just a waste of time. It's better to start preparing for a full on public opinion campaign. And then somebody said that seems like the right move. While the parents are in direct talks with HYBE, more attack materials could come. Okay. So this is them on the 20th of April 2024. Kakao Talk conversation between Min and the attorneys in the attorneys that represent Min and then Shin Dong Hun. And then there was a photo sent and then she said the mothers will be the ones filing a report to the Fair Trade Commission. So by this time she already knew and already spoke with the parents. It'll look a bit weird if the subsidiary filed it. Yes, that sounds much better. And then so that was the submitted. There were more, but um this is the only part that was disclosed, or at least this the only thing that was sent to me on X. I don't know if there's anything more. So I just have people sending me all of this stuff. Okay. So this is the two possible outcomes. A publication in South Korea said that so the decision to the case is going to, well, the lawyer supposedly the court is going to decide on the case on the 30th of this month. And they're saying that there are two possible outcomes. One is that the court could decide that NewJeans must continue their activities under ADOR. If this happens, I can guarantee they're going to appeal this. Okay, this is going to be a long battle. Okay, so the court can decide that. Or number two, that's number one. The second option is that the court is going to acknowledge a breakdown of trust, allowing the termination of contract or imposing penalties and damages instead of maintaining the contract. Okay, now here's my question to you. Type 1 if you want NewJeans to continue their activities under ADOR. Type 2 in the comment section, in the chat room, if you want them to just terminate the contract and just pay the penalty. I want to know which option you want to go. The courts need to think of the industry as a whole. They do. Two two go away. Two. Oh, all of you are typing two. Nobody wants them to stay. Okay, I do think it is better. I think it's way better. One, RJ Birmingham said one. Why one, RJ? Two today and two tomorrow. That'll be four. Why one, RJ? Midori Lee, 3,700. How could you ever trust these girls and their parents? Two, RJ, but if they go away, then other groups will try. We had two number one. Carla Girl. Okay, there's two. Why number one? Georgia, number one. Why? I would prefer two. Number one for the industry. Um, One, so they realized following Minhee was the worst idea. Abron, or really one, so Adore wins the argument, but then 2 to 20 minutes later. Two, but it feels too easy after what they did. One, but because it is necessary. It is about the meaning of the contract. RJ Birmingham, they would Fire Butterfly is saying, sorry, I'm not posting the things that I'm reading because I'm scratching the ears of my dog. It is necessary. Where's that? Okay. Crystal said number one, so they realized following Minhee was the worst idea. Um, Cindy said, I would prefer two. It's number one for the industry. So if you're thinking about the industry, it's number one. RJ said, if they go away, then other groups will try. Carla Girl, number one as well. Okay. Lucy in the Sky saying, how could you ever trust those girls? Two times forever. Okay, so, or really one, so Adore wins the argument, but then 2 to 20 minutes later. Okay, so it's better for the industry for number one. If they go, it would be better. The humiliation of being such brats to stay. Okay, so I voted one because it's empathic to Adore. As a teacher, I know the hard work to train and teach, let alone make money after. So to let that go just like that for a K-pop company, no. Number one, New Jeans were tricked into giving this his terrible situation. Adore deserves to get its reputation back after Minhee and the members trampled on the hands that fed them. MLB is saying returning will make it uncomfortable for the other artists, especially Isle It and Le Seraphim. Sylvia said the person funding their legal bills will probably pay the fine. RJ Birmingham said paying is not about it. It is the meaning. It is the meaning of a contract in the context of Korea's ability to do business. If they can cancel the contract, then why would I want to invite in a contract? Okay. I think they will be there. The penalty is going to be heavy, but there's no staff still there that worked with them. The girls burned their own path, and there's a lot that you're lacking. There's almost 2 years of content on this topic now. I said one, the need to deal with reality and understand how the real world works. Get back to work and finish the contract they signed. Number two will imply payment, the penalty. So it's like what they should have done from the start. This girl group have a lot of demands. They are not that special. Okay, I get all of your points. And of course, it's all just opinion because we're not involved in the case. Our opinions will not affect the result or whatever. Um, and I do agree that if we're going to talk about the industry as a whole, and of course, the as a precedent, number one should be it, right? The court should just say, I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to continue the contract. Um, because we don't want contracts to be useless. And as an entrepreneur myself, I know how it is to sign a contract and then for it to not be upheld later. It doesn't feel good. The court shouldn't be meddling with a business that's following the law, and which is what happened here. They were following the law. So I feel like the court should just say, look, I'm sorry, but you signed the contract. There was nobody cheated anybody. They did not destroy you. You're going to have to uphold the contract. So that's one, right? On the other hand, I also know that no matter how Hybe handles this or how Adore handles this, they are on a losing end. No matter what happens, they are on a losing end. If it is number, if they stay, if the court tells them to stay, because fans are just going to say if they succeed, if New Jeans continues to succeed, fans are going to say, you see, we told you that they are priceless and that you need them and all of those stuff. Now, if ADOR manages them and they don't go back to their old form, old type of popularity, which we know now is high, was also affected by some manipulation and whatever, then people are just going to say, you suck as a manager. Like it should have been Min from the beginning." So it feels like they lose either way. Right? So that's what I'm thinking about. Um so so if I think about that, and of course the other thing is that you, there are other people working in Hybe. How do you expect all of these people to deal with this group who uh, who just sided with the person who tried to get into the accounting, the papers and the money, the the income of BTS, who tried to destroy. It's just so hard to make all of these groups go through that. You know that this is the group who sided with the person who tried to destroy their groups, who maligned their name, and the all of them, SSERAFIM, they went through so much because of them, and that this is the group that supported it. So yeah, it's like it's a lot to ask. And we know that she tried to get into the finances of BTS, and we don't know, and she was preparing to actually destroy it, and to a certain degree she did, because she insisted that the PR company she insisted that the PR company actually hypes on the fact that, oh, we surpassed BTS records and we did it in 2 years and whatever, and made it appear as if BTS didn't play a part, all of those things that these girls were already conditioned to not respect and recognize the contribution of the people that came before them, right? So how can you expect them, all of these other groups, to work in the same building as they are working in? Now, we know that BTS has their own area. A lot of the things that they use, it's just for them, from the studio to the makeup room. They have their own area, and they're going to be out of the country for the most part, right? Because by March, the assumption is that they're going to kick off their tour. So they won't be spending a lot of time in the building. But still, what's going to happen once they're done? Now, the other thing is that the artists might be a bigger person than we are. For them, probably forgiveness is there. Maybe they can repair the relationship. I just don't know if it's worth asking them to go through it. Okay. They talk like being forced back would be like making someone go back to an abuser, not realizing the other groups in Hybe, they are the bullies. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, they don't recognize that. They don't realize that they actually are, um, that they sort of, they were they sided with the bully. I do know that, and this has not changed. That for me, my stance is that they were brainwashed into doing this, and the parents were too. Although I really have no sympathy for the parents, they are adults, they should have known. But for the girls, they were they really were brainwashed into this. So Bang Luna said, sorry, but when trust is broken, it can't really be fully mended. Okay, the book is kind of okay. You want to say bye? I say bye bye. Love you. Say bye bye, baby. Bye to everybody. Say bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Okay, they need to go. Okay, they're saying good night to you. Yon yon. Okay. He's like, I'm out of here. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, he's adorable. He uses that against me all the time. Okay. Yeah, he has a bed right behind my chair, and that's his one of his favorite places in the room. He has one, two, three, four. So he has inside my room, he has four beds. Sorry, three. One, two, three. And then my bed, which he thinks well, it's actually my pillow that he thinks is his. And then one bed outside. And then my mom kind of thinks that he needs a bed in her room as well. Okay, so that's it. That's just how I think. And again, this is just us stating our opinion. We don't have any influence in this entire case. So the other thing is that there is this journalist who keeps on writing uh, ridiculous articles about Hybe and about Bang Shiok and about ADOR, and it has been relentless. This is just for us to laugh because there's just Debak, son of JK. So he's the brother of Bam. So this is just for us to laugh because this journalist is just ridiculous, the amount of things that he's been writing and the things that he's been saying. So this article is about Bang Shiyuk or HYBE supposedly overpaying for Ithaca holdings at three times its price, leading to the departure of top stars, including Justin Bieber. And then the way that he wrote about this seems like, so this is the guy. Obviously, he really doesn't know anything about all of these things. Number one, there is no way for, well, yeah, I guess there is a way, but it's unlikely that actually there is no way because there is a contract and the contract is public here in the US. So when Scooter Braun sold Ithaca, it was very clear what he was selling. And the contract clearly states that it does not include the roster of talents under him. It didn't include Bieber. It didn't include Demi Lovato, who was already on her way out by the time the conversation even started between Scooter Braun and Hybe. So that was out. That was never in the conversation. Essentially, what they paid for is the network of the rights over the songs that Ithaca and Big Machine had, which was the bigger bulk of where the money was coming from. So that's one. Second is that and I've explained this so many times, when you try and establish yourself, especially in the entertainment industry in the US, you can do it two ways. You do it organically, and that's going to um take you decades. It's going to take you, if you're really, really good, it's going to take you 1 decade. If you're really good, like you play your cards right, you do some questionable things on the side just to get things done. It's going to take you a decade at least. And that's only if you're really, really good. But if you play by the books and all of those stuff, it's probably going to take you 3 decades. That's how long it takes to establish yourself in an industry like the entertainment industry in the US. So what they essentially paid for with him was his an existing connection. So they kind of bought that 10 years, 20 years, and it paid off, right? You now have Cat's Eye. They're going to debut two other groups. Of course, he was instrumental in connecting Jungkook with songwriters, and now he's established himself in the US. So stuff like that. He was able to broker the deal with quality control, with company 360, all of those years. Okay, so but obviously when he wrote these articles, he didn't. It was obvious that he didn't know anything about how business is actually conducted here. Agreements like this are publicly available in the US. Okay. And then he's saying that another thing would be to demand NewJeans activities be guaranteed through the sale of ADOR to a third party. So he's saying that the fans should actually write a petition forcing HYBE to sell ADOR to a third party. Okay, that's another thing that he wanted and demanded. Um, okay, and then here's another thing. So he's saying that NewJeans returned the investment of Bang HYUK 50 times. So whatever HYBE invested or Bang HYUK invested on NewJeans was able to pay it back 50 times. And then here's another thing. When HYBE kicked out female employees, they fabricated the scandal with BTS and threatened them. So they're saying that they're using BTS to be able to fire female employees. And then Bang Shiyuk Entourage Fund is a crime in itself to sell stocks at the same listing. So he is insisting that Bang Shiyuk is actually doing something wrong. He did something wrong in relation to the stock manipulation controversy that the police is actually pushing against Bang Shiyuk. Okay. So all of this within days. If you're seeing the days, that's 12th of November, sorry, of October, 11th of October, this all of this. So there has been 7 articles in a matter of 2 to 3 days. And all of this were just ridiculous amount of articles that are not even, when I was reading it, I was like, am I going to discuss it? It's so ridiculous. Okay. Fire Butterfly, YouTube stopped. YouTube stopped. Am I frozen? Am I frozen, everybody? Am I frozen? Can somebody answer me? No, I'm not frozen. YouTube is fine. Not frozen. I think it's you, Fire Butterfly. Okay. Okay, not frozen. All right, good. I was just making sure because Fire Butterfly said I froze. Okay. Um all right. So this is just in a matter of days, 2 to 3 days, 7 articles claiming all of these ridiculous things. Initially, I was going to go through them like point by point. But as I've said, I was like, this is so ridiculous that talking about this in detail is just going to sort of justify. Like, it's just not even, uh, it's not even, like, it's not worth it. These are, obviously, he doesn't know anything about business law. He doesn't know anything about life in general. He doesn't know, he doesn't live in this world. It's just not worth talking about. Okay. So, okay. So the summary of what he's saying is that Bang Shiyuk is an idiot because he bought Ithaca, and that NewJeans actually paid back or made back 50 times the investment of HYBE on ADOR. All of those things, not worth talking about. Okay. Now, of course, a lot of people are saying that this guy is most likely getting paid by the party of men. We don't know that. But with the amount of ridiculous articles that he has been publishing, either he is getting paid or he's just a lunatic. It's just, I can't even, no matter, there's just no speck of sanity in the things that he was talking about. Okay, so I referred to the letter. So in the chat, the Kakao Talk message, I said that they were referring to, they mentioned the parents sending a letter to HYBE and then to FTB or FTC in their country to complain about HYBE. And this is actually the letter that they were talking about. So the parents, essentially one of the biggest things that was in that letter was Bang Shiyuk ignoring NewJeans. So that was the main thing. Like, he didn't greet them, he ignored them, and all of those stuff, which HYBE actually denied. Other things that they complained about is, number one, that the public kept on comparing NewJeans to Isle It, and it's causing them distress. That's one. Second is that they do believe that because of that, they are convinced, because the public kept on comparing NewJeans to Isle It, they are now convinced that there was indeed plagiarism. And the other thing is that whenever the record of NewJeans, and this is really ridiculous, the letter said that whenever the record of NewJeans is threatened or overtaken, it causes them distress. So what they want is for that record to never be broken. So HYBE must do everything within their power to ensure that all the record that NewJeans established will never be broken. Okay. So again, ridiculous. Alright. Okay. Do you have questions before we move on to something brighter and something better? Okay, nothing on YouTube works, you get an error. Nothing on YouTube works? That's insane. Why? So these people who don't put any money, why am I blurred? why why am I blurred? Okay, so why maybe if I okay. Why do these people who didn't put any money into this game think they can demand how this company uses their money? Talk about being out of touch. Has a New Jeans worshiper. Well, so this is the so please move on to happy news. Wow, YouTube is having issues. Okay, so many of you are saying that YouTube is having issues, and some of you are saying it's fine. Let me just I want to make sure that everything is fine. It's fine on mine. I hope everyone's able to access. Okay. My brother's having trouble with YouTube also. Fairlane, do you know what the reach of this guy is? He's no, I don't. He allegedly is not a well-known journalist. He's sort of a freelance journalist because Media Watch is some sort of a it's like Medium. They accept any article. They don't really have like in-house writers. So, okay. You got kicked out of YouTube earlier when you tried. Hi from the Philippines. Hello. You don't think it's me? Okay, maybe it is YouTube, huh? You can try on X or you can also try on Twitch. So, maybe if YouTube is having some issues. Um can you run the data on his name like you have for the guys and other content? Okay, I can run the name. I'll do that. Okay. Sinri said she will leave and come back. YouTube no good in Vietnam. To which work for me. Swamp Queen said. Okay, so for those of you who are having trouble with YouTube, try Twitch or X or even IG. I'm live on IG as well. Okay, so let's go to something not as negative, but still a little interesting. So a lot of movement actually have well, a lot of stuff, a lot of things have developed in the last quarter in relation to the music industry in the US. So we'll go through some of the things that labels and streaming platforms and other companies related to music have the things that they are doing and how that's going to affect BTS and other groups that are promoting in the US. So number one of the biggest development is that Universal actually launched their own creator marketing app. This is big. We all know that Universal is actually the biggest label in the world basically. And they have recognized the power of influencers now. I know a lot of people are saying that the influencer economy there is actually reaching its fever pitch or that it has maximized or that it is actually saturated. The truth is that it's not. It's not saturated. It's just beginning. And Universal, and I'm going to show you the data on that. It and Universal acknowledge and recognizes this. And so they actually created their own app that that creators can sign up in so that they will make money off Universal. So just like any creator marketing app, Universal can get in touch with this creators and pay them so that the influencers will promote the products or anything they want the influencers to promote. Now, the biggest advantage of Universal in doing this is I'm a creator, right? So when I am working for an if I sign up in an app that allows me to have brand deals, the thing is that I have to give my data or my demographics, watch time, age to them for them to be able to match me with brands. Now, they don't know you. Like, for example, if I do that, I have not done that, by the way. But if I do that, for example, it's not like I will have to give them your email address or your identity, but they're going to know, for example, this is just an example. Okay, 30% of my subscribers are between 18 to 35 years old. Okay. And then 35 is between, I don't know, 36 to 45 or something. That's my. So now the platform will be able to match me with brands that are looking for those type of people. I have to give that to them. I can choose what I give them. They kind of require it, but at least if I don't want to give it, then I just don't sign up. Here in the creator marketing app that Universal created, they will be able to see the data by themselves because it's their platform, right? So that's the biggest advantage that they have. So the name of the platform is House of Carmen. And this is the market size of the influencer marketing from 2014 all the way to 2025. As you can see, the growth from 1.4 billion all the way to 32.55, that is the estimate by the end of 2025. And to think it is a young industry, that's 11 years, very very young. Things are going to go up primarily because a lot of the Gen Zers and Gen Alphas actually Gen Alpha considers influencers their celebrity, the same way we think of Meryl Streep or Whitney Houston as our big celebrities. For Gen Z and for Gen Alpha, the big celebrities for them are Mr. Beast, um, Michelle Phan, Emma Chamberlain. Is that her name? Emma Chamberlain or something like that. So they look at celebrities, they look at influencers as their celebrities. They are also the ones that are more likely to use social media as their news source rather than traditional stations like CNN or Reuters or AP. They would rather look into Facebook, X, YouTube, and look for what they would consider to be credible people submitting their reports about issues that they want to know about. Okay, so again, it's Universal that's recognizing it. And instead of just partnering with an application, they actually created their own. So those influencers that are into music, entertainment, they will be enticed to sign up, right? Because they are going to get directly paid by Universal. If you get big enough, there's a huge chance that Universal can invite you to certain events, and that is always good for influencers. Okay. Um, all right. So these are the companies that started working with influencers. So as you can see, in 2015, there were just 190 companies that were constantly working with influencers. In 2025, it ballooned to 6,939. So imagine the growth. And as I've said, 10 years is very young in an industry like influencer marketing. So if you're planning to create your own YouTube channel or Instagram or be active in your social media and you think, it's saturated, it isn't. Even the K-pop industry, it is not saturated. A lot of the people, and here I'm going to give you an advice. Well, a tip, not really an advice, a tip actually. There is a lack of substance in the K-pop industry. If that is something that you are really interested in and you want to probably earn a little something on the side, there is lack of substance in the K-pop industry. A lot of the channels that are big are actually gossip channel, superficial. They do just reaction. They say, "Oh, this is great. Oh, I like the beat drop. Oh my god," things like that. But there's really not a lot of people that are doing analysis, and that's something that you can provide. Okay. All right. I'll discuss a little bit more on that in my members only YouTube live stream. So just in case you want on Friday. So that I'll tell you more about it. As you know, I get invited by YouTube for some research. Okay. So, in terms of which countries are biggest in terms of influencer marketing, of course, United States still the biggest, followed by Brazil, and then India, Indonesia, UK, Japan, Spain, Germany, Italy, and France. So these are the top countries that where influencers are in. This is their location. I don't know if you know this, but and I can't confirm it yet because has X itself has not announced whether this is true or not. But they're saying that one of the things or features that X is considering is to actually put the country, the location of the person's of the account owner's location. So for example, in your profile, sorry, that was incomplete. They're planning to put the country, your location, if you have an X profile or Twitter profile, they're going to put your country, make it visible, or it's possible for people to see where you are actually located. So, and they are saying that's going to help because a lot of users are claiming to be, oh, I'm from the US, and then they're in, I don't know, India or Bangladesh or whatever. Okay. So, however, so this is in terms of share, the market share. But in terms of uh, income, Brazil has overtaken the US. Okay, so a lot of influencers are actually in Brazil. Okay, I'm curious what China and Weibo does since they are so tightly controlled. What do you mean? What do you mean what they are doing? If they are allowing what is exactly okay. Um Okay, so now this platform is actually representing a shift for Universal Music Group as it moves creator marketing capabilities in house. So that is basically what they are doing. Instead of, hi, Fairyland, I can't use YouTube, so I am here. Okay, hi. But your name is written in Mandarin. Is that Mandarin or Oh, in Nihongo? Okay. So the platform, so they that is essentially what they're doing. Since they own the platform, basically influencer marketing is in-house now. It's in-house. So if ever you want to try, House of Carmen is a place for you to go if you ever want to try and see what kind of deals you can get from them. So the platform operates on a tiered system with creators needing a minimum of 1,000 followers to participate. So Universal can engage creators through two methods: direct briefs for specific campaigns, so they will approach you directly. I'm Z. Okay, hi Z. Okay. So this platform will allow them, so they can directly approach a creator and tell them, okay, hey, we'll want to work with you. Here's the brief. These are the outputs that is expected of you. Okay, MBW understand that House of Carmen incorporates gamification elements, allowing creators to compete against each other for the best performing content around Universal's artist roster and releases. Okay, now, the one thing that they are doing is also make influencers compete with each other because you want to be on top, right? If the marketing manager of Universal goes into the platform, then he would know who is the best performing influencer and most likely work with that influencer. Here is the thing that you do need to consider. You BTS is, well, not BTS, HYBE's partnership is with Universal, right? They have a distribution deal with Universal, and they're actively working with Geffen, a company that is owned by Universal, to launch certain groups, including Cat's Eye. So when I heard about this, which has been on the works for several months now, when I heard about this, the only reason I considered doing it is because of that. If I want to help in promoting BTS in any way, shape, or form. Okay. So um, I might sign up in the members only live. Maybe I'll show it to you. I will show you the back end. Also, I'm going to sign up to another influencer partnership platform. I'm going to show you the back end so that you know what actually happens, what we see, what are being demanded of influencers, so that you have a better gauge. Now, I'm not saying that don't support influencers who are partnering with brands. Absolutely not. They're there, you can only earn so much from the ads of YouTube or monetizing it your account through X. Of course, influencers need to make a living, right? So I'm not saying that. I just want you to be well aware how certain brands can that you are how certain brands can influence what you're talking about. Many of these influencers, the key for them is long-term partnership. Many influencers want to sign a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year contract with certain brands, right? Or certain acts or certain companies. And that is understandable because there is nothing more exhausting than hustling for your next deal every month. And you, if you like a creator, if you're supporting a creator, you don't want them to be hustling every month. So now, the only way for a company to actually sign you, an influencer, on a 7 year contract or a 1 year contract for that matter, is to be in the good graces of certain companies. And as I've said, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Personally, I've made a promise that I'm not going to, if I ever do start working with brands, I won't work with brands that I do not believe in personally. And that makes it very difficult because you guys already know that I don't like clothes. I'm not particularly fond of clothes, or so it limits me. Georgia has a question. Fairlane, do we know how long the contract with Universal is, since Hybe now has its global in-house distribution service? It was 7 years. They announced it the first time that they signed the contract, and they said it's 7 years. Okay. Oh my God. Now you have a problem. I only see chat. I already left and came back a few times. I have a problem. Okay. So the subscriber count hasn't gone down. And then if I do this, if I check on my phone, it's still alive. Oh, I see what you're saying. Look. It's blank. Is it doing it for others? Now I'm curious. It's doing it for Victoria's Secret. You see that? That's a Victoria's Secret. This is because Twice is performing. It's blank. So I think it's why YouTube. Everything is doing that. I'm not everything, but many of the it's for all videos, yeah. Okay. All right, let's get on. So I would just suggest you can shift to X if you have an X account, or Twitch or Instagram. I'm also live on Instagram. So you can choose any of those three, and there's really not much I can do about you have no battery life. Yeah. There's really not much I can do about YouTube right now. It seems to be doing that for many of the other channels that are doing the live stream. So sorry, there's just not much I can do. But please try either X if you have an X account, IG if you have an IG account. I'm live there, and then you can also try Twitch. Instagram ended the live. There's so many problem, huh? You would think that with all the advancement in technology. Okay. So try X or try Twitch if you also are having trouble um with IG. I don't know what else to. I mean, I don't know what else to do. It's just I can't control YouTube. Let's see. If I do Okay, let me try again on IG just for those who don't have. I will reconnect. I'm thinking it's because maybe the feed is coming from um okay. Because IG's feed is coming from YouTube, maybe it's having trouble. Maybe that. So let's see. No, it's also unable to connect. I'm sorry. I don't know what. Okay, next. All right, so let's continue with that. So in the members only live stream, I'm going to show you the back end. L- show you as I sign up, and let's see what's gonna happen. Okay. Maybe because I'm broadcasting this and UMG knows and they won't let me in. But okay, Universal Music. So they're going. The other development is that Universal Music is actually going to enlist themselves. They're not. They're under a company. So UMG in itself by itself is not listed. They are under their umbrella company. So they want to make it they want to go public. Okay. Um all right. And then, so let's go to Spotify because they did a lot of things in the last several months. And also, some of these developments actually started years ago, but is only taking off now. One of which is this is the campaign kit, is what they call it, the campaign kit. So they offer this to acts that want to promote themselves in Spotify. If you pay them, then you can actually do the playlist pitching, which essentially means you know how many playlists Spotify has, right? So if you pay, you are actually going to include them in their pitching to playlists, but they own the playlist. And they also are working with several playlisters. So, just pay them and they will include you in their playlist. And then Marquee, a full screen sponsored recommendation that pushes new releases to listeners in the listening context, free plus premium. So just pay them and you will get a lot of playlists. And but they are saying that they're just going to pitch you. They don't guarantee that that you will actually be included in the playlist. And then the other is a showcase, a banner style promotion tool for catalog and new music. A minor thing is just add the biggest thing, and then discovery mode, which pushes your song. The discovery mode is what allows the Spotify system to push a song in the as the next song. If your autoplay is on, then they will keep on recommending that song. So many people, I don't know if you know this, but many actually just leave their playlist playing, their Spotify playing. They don't really pay attention to that. And so many songs actually get pushed to people even though you don't like that act. And many of those are actually under their campaign kit. So it's a partner of Spotify. If you pay, then you will be included in their playlist, many of which they actually owns, many of the others they work with. And then they can pitch you more, and then you can get recommendations. So the other big thing is their radar, Spotify radar. So they work with emerging talents, and it's almost the same thing, but the difference is that this is more geared towards new artists. Okay, more geared towards new artists. And some of the artists that benefit, so it includes editorial support, marketing exposure, and sometimes personalized campaign planning. So they have their own marketing team within Spotify that helps artists market themselves. So it's like hiring a marketing and advertising company. Peso Pluma was actually a beneficiary of this campaign. So they partnered with Spotify Radar And that, you know how popular he became. Another group, you're going to be surprised, espa. Espa actually partnered with YouTube. And so majority of the things that you hear from them on Spotify, all of those marketing stuff, that was courtesy of Spotify, their internal team. Now, another thing which doesn't really well, I guess not a lot, it doesn't really concern musicians would be Spotify video podcast. Many they partnered with Netflix. So many podcasters will actually have that are regularly airing their podcast in Spotify will now many of those podcasts will now be aired in Netflix. Okay. Now, here is the problem with all of these things. Oh, another thing, they have something cooking before Elk, which is the former CEO of Spotify, stepped down. The one thing he was pushing was the Music Pro or Super Fan Premier tier. What that will do is give you higher quality sound. I don't know if you know this, but if you are a listener of Spotify, the sound quality isn't that good. And then early access to concert tickets or priority access to live events. So Spotify was actually planning on doing their own concerts. They have, if you know the NPR Live, they want to create something like that. And then fans that are a member of this tier can actually buy tickets. They get priority. And they also want to partner with certain event places or venues so that the those that are under the Music Pro tier will have early access to tickets, possibly more interactive or creative tools. Like if you are a DJ, you can actually easily license the music of other acts. Now, Sony said that they haven't signed up, and that has been the bigger barrier for this project. But more than that, many music or labels are actually saying that it's going to change the revenue structure because then revenue is going to go down because many of the labels won't have control over the things that are being offered to to those the super fan tier. So they don't want to sign up yet. But the biggest question that many people are asking is that Spotify has long ago stopped acting like a music platform. They are now a marketing company. It's just that they're marketing songs and artists. And is that the kind of objectivity that you want from a music platform who is making a living out of publishing charts, telling you who's the most listened to? What guarantee do people have that the numbers they are publishing are not being affected or influenced by all the marketing features that you're offering to artists? The least that you can do is you should not the least that you can do, but ideally you should be staying out of the marketing. That shouldn't be your gig. You should be leaving that to marketing companies. You're a streaming platform. You should be objective, especially if your unique selling proposition is that you publish your numbers, because then now we know that those that are working with you, paying you as a company, those numbers will get affected, right? And then the other thing is that I don't know if you know this, but it was only last year that Spotify actually yielded an income. They've been around for decades, but for the first time last year, 2024 was the year when they actually yielded an income. And they did it because of all of these programs. Push, Campaign Kit, Spotify for Artists, all of these programs that allow artists to pay them so that they get pushed. That's how they made their money. Okay. Um, BTS shouldn't rely on big companies, especially Western industries, taking advantage of them. I thought it was only us, but I think it's global. Okay, is that you're talking about them? You the okay, so those are some major movements of Spotify. Now they think so. As you can see here, they've been on a negative for a really long time. So they've been relying on investments. They raise funds, but for 2024, finally they made some money. And they kind of realized that the best way to do this is through partnering with artists, allowing artists to get more access to a bigger audience by paying Spotify themselves. Again, objectivity then is missing. Okay, this I'm going to discuss in the members only live, but Vivo actually conducted a study on fandom culture, and it's pretty interesting. So I'll discuss this in the live only mainstream. Okay, another big development for Spotify is they are now fully integrated with ChatGPT, and they want to connect with other AI as well. So what that essentially does is you can actually tell ChatGPT, your AI, to look for artists and they will scan through Spotify. So they allowed the code of ChatGPT to go inside, to have connection, to have a direct connection with the code of Spotify. So you can be inside ChatGPT, not have to leave it, and still be able to pull songs or playlists that you want to play. So Spotify is saying next is Grok, which is I guess, the closest competitor of ChatGPT in terms of generative AI, and then they're going to go through the other AI as well. But this is a big thing. I don't know if you know this, but for content creators, one of the advices that we are getting from Google, from YouTube, is to write our content to make it friendly to ChatGPT and other AI. So they're not saying that you should change the content that you are writing. They're just saying that write it in a way that will be friendly for AI to understand. Okay. So another thing is that, do you have questions about the AI thing? Okay. Um aren't they also moving into audiobooks with AI voiceover? Yes. So in there I've actually tried this. I asked my editor to try the AI. So you can upload a sample of your voice and then give AI your manuscript or your script or whatever, and then the AI is just going to read your script using your voice. So, but we all know that. I mean, even Hybe or Big Hit tried to use that for Yiyun, if you would remember, Midnight, right? So they used his voice in for him to allow him to sing the song in different languages. So um all these things give me a headache. Okay, and then the other thing is that record companies are now signing deals with AI companies. So there are AI music labels, and what they do is just they create AI singers. That's all they do. They create AI singers. They create the look, they create the voice, and then they give it the songs that were also generated by AI. They create music videos, all AI. And people are listening to it. Majority of the people that are listening to it, Gen Alpha and younger Gen Z. So now music labels in the US are recognizing we can't get away from this. If we do not do something about this, we're going to get wiped out by these companies. So what they are now, there was a big lawsuit. I don't know if you remember this, but I think it was Drake and someone else. Someone used their voice. Was it Bad Bunny? Could have been Bad Bunny. But definitely Drake is one person. The weekend. So someone used their voice and then wrote a song using AI and then had the AI record the song using the voices of The Weeknd and Drake. It was a huge hit, big hit. So not the company, but like an actual huge hit. The song became a huge hit. That the person actually earned like millions and millions of dollars because people were actually playing the song. Now, when The Weeknd and Drake learned about it, they sued the person. The person knew that he was going to get sued. He didn't mind because only two things could happen. If he doesn't have enough money, the court can't force him to pay. I don't know if you know this, but there's just really nothing the court can do about it. Okay, so the court can't force him to pay. If um if he earns some money, then he will just pay them whatever it is that they want They'll just give them the money that he earned. Or he's going to earn a lot of money and then pay some of it towards Drake and The Weeknd. The latter happened. So he earned a lot of money, and then the court said, okay, you're going to have to pay Drake and The Weeknd. So give them a third of what you earned, and then you can keep the rest. So when that happened, I think music labels kind of realized, okay, there's nothing we can do about AI. It's going to happen, whether or not we like it. And I think the biggest thing about them now is that they kind of had experience when it comes to streaming. I don't know if you remember, but for a time, they were actually resisting streaming. So they fought and fought and fought. They fought Napster, they took it down or whatever, only for them to later on realize that's where the market is going. So they decided to just give in and partner. For a time, even Taylor Swift wasn't actually on. She pulled her songs from Spotify. Okay, so they are forging a partnership. It was actually Financial Times who reported about this. So we'll see what's going to happen. Now, for Warner Music Group, they are copying HYBE. Of course, they didn't say it, but that's what they're essentially saying. They are turning their music labels into a full service company. If you would remember, they used to be really concentrated on publishing. They just want to earn the masters, and then they take a cut of all the earnings of an artist. But the rest, if you want to turn your IP into a merchandise, if you want to get into a TV show or a movie, you get another agent for that. There is another broker for merchandise. There's another broker for IP. But essentially, they just get a royalty. We know that is not the model in K-pop. In K-pop, companies control everything about the artist, and that's what they are trying to do now. They want to become a full service company. So Warner Music, Universal Music, Sony, all of these companies are going to do what HYBE and other labels from Korea like SM, YG, and JYP are doing. They will manage the artist top to bottom, turn their IP into a revenue generating property. Okay. So they are going to surrender to AI. He said that. So this is the guy from Warner Music. He said that they know that AI eventually will start making hits. They know that. It's just going to pump out songs that will resonate with the audience, but he doesn't think that it is going to make an impact as an art. It's just going to be a commercial property, like an as a commercial thing. Okay. This swing from extreme to extreme, I'm waiting for Young Guns to swing back to singer-songwriters. It's it's interesting because eventually, so there's like all of this chaos, right? Getting into AI, embracing this and whatever, and then to this after some time, things are going to fall into place, right? It's going to settle. And then we're going to see those that will survive are the ones that are doing it right. So the thing about, and I've said this before and I'll keep on saying it, turning your business model, like for example, trying to create a super fan application or managing an artist top to bottom, becoming a full service company, you're fighting against culture in the US. So I'm not a local, I'm not a native, but I know enough in the industry to know that it is the laws and the regulations are highly influenced by the culture. And here, independence is so valued. That is why artists don't like surrendering everything about them to a certain company because they don't want one company to own them. So if you're saying that you want to become a full service company, essentially doing it the same way as YG, HYBE, SM Entertainment, JYP, you're asking these artists to surrender everything about them to your company. Is that something that American artists would actually want, right? So you're going against culture. So let's see what's going to happen. Okay. So they said that one of the major problems they are encountering is that vinyl is now being counterfeited by countries like China and Russia. So be careful what you're buying. And they're saying that it is almost unrecognizable. The difference between real vinyl that was released by the company, like for example, HYBE, it's unrecognizable unrecognizable from the ones that were counterfeited by China. And they said that the quality is the same as well. Okay. Will this hurt BTS because they won't do this? They won't do this? What is this? So they want to control the supply chain. Correct. They want to control the supply chain. Yes. Because it's the only way for them. Remember, I showed you the earnings of the industry, of the entire music industry, especially the US music industry from 20 years before to now, right? And it looks like they are earning, but if you figure in inflation, they're actually going down. And they know that. They are not stupid. It's just that they don't want to blatantly admit it to the world. So they know that they have tried everything within their power to make it work. It's not working. So in their mind, the one that's working is HYBE, JYP, SM Entertainment, YG Entertainment. So the thought is, why don't we do what they are doing? Okay, Dodger Girl said back in the 60s, that's what was done here in the US, and artists don't want to go. There were huge slave labels. Exactly. So you're fighting against that history, culture. So it's going to be interesting how they're going to be playing it out. It is very possible because there are a lot of budding singers, right? Entertainment artists that just want a career in the mainstream. So it's possible that out of desperation, they'll sign those contracts, which still happens to this day, by the way, with their 360. Okay. Okay. Even with streaming services dominating legal consumption, piracy is still taking over. So they're losing a lot of money. Adjusted for inflation, 2024 US recorded music revenues remain significantly lower than they were in 1999. So it seems that this publication heard what I said and repeated it. Okay. They didn't give me credit. I'm kidding. They probably thought about this as well. I mean, that's a pretty automatic thing to think about. It's not something unique. I was just joking. Don't think that. It was just a joke. Okay. All right. So this I wanted to actually initially talk about Taylor Swift, but I did it in a video this morning, which I published already. Please watch the video. But essentially what I'm saying is that she is using the same tactics that BTS used, and she is getting praised for it, and BTS was actually vilified and lambasted for it. Now, just wanted to make sure that and wanted to make it clear that I'm not questioning her success and her popularity. She's very popular. She is arguably the most successful artist in the current time, right? I'm not questioning that at all. She would have been number one regardless. All I'm saying is that it is palpable the difference between how the media and how Billboard are actually treating what she did versus how they perceived and talk about how BTS did it. When BTS did it, there were like four versions available, maybe a special version for Target or for Walmart, but essentially maximum six. If you stretch it, maybe eight. She has 32 versions. No one is saying a thing. In fact, everyone is calling her a marketing genius. But when it was BTS, they were manipulating the chart. What is worse is that her program was actually pushed by her label. In other words, it was official. They did this 32 version. For BTS, it was actually just the fandom who decided let's buy multiple copies so that we can her, help BTS. But again, for her, it was a genius marketing move. When it was BTS, it was manipulation. Again, just want to emphasize I'm not questioning her popularity. I'm questioning how the media and Billboard are actually treating this. If they're saying that what she's doing is legitimate, then they shouldn't question the fan driven efforts to help an artist. That is my only point. Okay. But they said that it is not just 32 versions, she's going to release more. She's gonna release more. So it is most likely like a 2 month thing where she's releasing a new version constantly. In the first week, she's number one at Billboard 200, and she sold 4 million copies. But she dropped significantly, like a 98% drop for week two, although she's still number one. I think for week two, she sold like 300,000 copies. So a big drop. So just want to make sure I'm not questioning. Really, I am not. I'm not questioning her success. I'm just saying that discrimination is so palpable. I don't know how Billboard can actually face themselves in the mirror whenever they wake up. All of this Western journalists that were criticizing BTS on how they were manipulating the chart. So, okay, I'm questioning her success. um, okay, it's about spinning the optics, US versus non-American. Yeah. Okay, now let's start with something a little bit more positive, right? Okay, so Bottega Veneta, as I've said, just want to make sure that you guys understand. I'm going to do a full presentation in this with some numbers in the members only live stream on Friday. Okay, but I'm going to give you like as a teaser on what you can expect. So Bottega has decided to do a very different marketing strategy about 3 years ago. And that was when they first signed RM. And they kind of want to become like a Ferrari or an Hermes in the fashion industry. In other words, they don't want to be marketing loudly. They decided they would want people to come to them instead of them going to the market. That is why everything is understated, their products, their logo, and then their marketing. Okay, so I'm just seeing just one thing that we will probably encounter a problem with if we want to support, of course, RM. So the first thing that they took, the first step that they did was get off social media, and they dropped any kind of mainstream marketing, TV, radio, print, nothing of that. So instead, they asked celebrities to wear their clothes. And then the celebrities would wear them in special occasion. But it's not just any kind of special occasion. They would tip paparazzis to follow the celebrity. The celebrity would know this. But we'll make it appear as if the celebrity doesn't know. Okay. And then that's when they will um and that's when they will and so the idea is for the paparazzis to take a picture and then publish it, and it's going to be the fans that will talk about the outfit and what they're wearing and all of those things. So in other words, it's kind of like um it's a little like how BTS is doing it with armies. We talk for BTS most of the time, right? For most of the time, it's us telling other people how great they are and blah blah blah. It's the same strategy. Allow your fans to talk about your brand. Okay, so they're kind of um and as I've said, so they were very very silent on social media. So they kind of like want to become the direction is a little bit more like Hermes, but Hermes is very very snobbish. And when I say snobbish, there are certain purses in Hermes, especially the classic one. You can't buy it unless you buy like 10 more other stuff from Hermes first. So if you come into an Hermes store for the first time and you want a purse, they'll probably look at what you bought from them and say, nah, you can't have it yet. You're going to have to buy other things first, and then you can buy that purse. So that's the type of marketing of Hermes, which is very much like Ferrari. I don't know if you know this, but some of the cars of Ferrari you cannot buy if you're a first time buyer of Ferrari. You'll have to buy other cars first, and then you'll buy this model. Okay. Now, but the thing is that Bottega is not going to require you to buy the other products first. You can buy anything. It's just that they won't approach you for it. You're gonna have to be the one to come to them. Okay, now this is the conflict. As I've mentioned, one of the best marketing strategy that they did is to ghost everybody, right? So essentially, what they're doing is they're asking the artist to wear their clothes, usually on an ordinary, supposedly private time, and then like going to a dinner date or something. And then they will just allow the paparazzis to take pictures and allow the fans to talk about the outfit. So here is the thing. If you are a BTS fan, a real army, we're very respectful of their private time. So if the paparazzis take a picture of RM and we think it's a private time, we're not going to talk about this, which goes against what they wanted. Because what Bottega actually wanted was for you to talk about. You talk about it. Like they're wearing it in their private time. We want you to talk about it. But that's against the army culture. For us, if it's a private time, we do not pay attention. So that's the problem. So this actually happened here. So here's the explanation about it. Paparazzi to fashion media pipeline, right? So that is the actual strategy that they want. Ordinary people taking a picture of the celebrity during their private engagement and talking about it. Again, it's all about being understated. They don't want to be loud. They want people to realize and to think that, oh, in their private moments, they're using Bottega. Okay. And here is one example of that. I didn't capture it. So there was Rocky, he's a rapper, a huge rapper here. I'm sure that you know him. But also, he is now married to Rihanna. Before he married Rihanna, he's always been successful. Just wanted to make sure that you know that. So there was this private engagement. I think he was going on a dinner with Rihanna, and his picture was taken, and he was like donning a Bottega head to toe, and people were talking about it, and he didn't say anything. The celebrity didn't say anything. The brand didn't say anything. It was just several fans who started talking about, oh, this is great, the quality is great, I want to buy it. But again, the problem for us is that had it been any army who saw RM walking into a restaurant about to meet somebody and it's a private thing, we're just going to pretend we didn't see him. So their strategy is going to fail. But then, because we want to help RM, now what are we going to do? That's the problem. Okay. Now I'll talk about more of that, the sales and all of those things, in the members only live stream. That was just a teaser. Okay. Once it's for brand, I'll support it. But that is the thing. Like, when do we know it's for if they're making it appear as if you're going to a private, or maybe it is included in their contract that when you go to your private engagement, you just wear their clothing. But then how do we know, right? I think that's the problem. I'm willing to support if it is for the brand that they are representing. But the question is, how do we know? Right? Like, how do we? Melva said, well, they're going to have to come up with a new strategy for RM because we will not encourage anyone to photograph or intrude on RM's private time. RM will have to post pics of himself without mentioning the brand. Then we can talk about how great he looks. Okay, that is not the strategy. That's what I'm saying. It's just a small problem that we need to think about, right? Like, I won't. If I see him walk into a restaurant, I'm in the same restaurant, I'm just going to pretend that he's not there, but okay, but we'll talk about that in the members only live stream. Now let's do the news and updates so that we all end on a high note. RM will need to hold up a sign and let us know. Right? It was when my friend was talking about it. Again, I did the same thing for the members only live stream. You know that I usually do this. Like, my friends will tell me something, and then I'm gonna have to reverse engineer it because I can't just present to you things without evidence, right? So when he told me that that was the strategy, I was like, it must be documented somewhere, and I found that article. Okay. Um all right, next. So let's go to the news and updates. And the first thing that we need to talk about would be here. Let's make it bigger. There you go. Oh, it didn't really do much. So the road to 1 billion. Okay. So BTS, for DNA and for Life Goes On. First, these are the songs that fans are pushing to 1B. So we have DNA and Life Goes On. So the next song that will go to 1B will be Life Goes On. And it is now from 843, we go 850. The number that says October 2, that is the streamed the filtered stream. If you would remember, they delete streams on a monthly basis at the end of the month. So this is the filtered one. So this is the final one. So they are claiming actually that it is October 1 and October, not October 2, because they deleted for the month of September. Okay, so that's a jump of about 7 million. And then for DNA, from 723 million to 726, also about 3 million. So we're pretty consistent, I guess. And then for Jin, Astronaut is at 597 million, only a 2 million jump from 2 weeks ago. And then Running Wild, it is 394. So it was deducted. So we haven't recovered what we lost in Running Wild. And then Don't Say You Love Me from 498 to 556. And I think last week I already mentioned that Jin actually holds the record for the fastest song in 2025 to reach 500 million. So let's keep on pushing, because if we do well, we can actually push this to 1 billion either by the end of the year or in the first month of next year. So let's keep on pushing for Jin. And then for Hegum, which we also need to keep on pushing, it only went up 3 million. Well, not 13 million, 651 to 664. I'm also hoping we could push it to 1 billion by the end of the year or early next year. The Cheetah is a little slower for 442 million to 425, but not bad. It's the same average for us as the BTS songs. Okay, that is, and then for J Hope, oh, we're not done with the Yung line. Okay, for J Hope, the biggest mover is still Killing It Girl, 151 to 171. Okay, not bad. Let's just keep on going. We know it gets a lot of the streams are getting deleted, but as I've mentioned in my video, let's concentrate on what we gained and not what we lost. Okay, Sweet Dreams from 141 to 143, and then Mona Lisa 203 to 208, and then we still have more 319 to 320. But I do think that more is going to be left behind by the three other English singles. RM didn't move much. Well, 5 million, 330 million to 335 million. Okay, so that's for the Yung line. Okay. Um, Next is for Jimin, Set Me Free and Be Mine. Fans, US fans are really crazy about Be Mine. I'm not sure what it is with that song, but 296 million to 310. And then for for Set Me Free, it's 436 to 438. So 2 million gain. Most likely, Be Mine is going to cross 1 billion faster than Set Me Free. And then for V for Friends, 543 to 546 million. And then Winter Ahead, 463 to 481. His songs are moving fast. And then Slow Dancing, 531 to 534. Okay. So I guess people are more interested in pushing Winter Ahead. Maybe because it's because of the coming Christmas. And then Jungkook, we're tracking 3 songs. I hope I got the suggestion right. I know someone wanted to track another song of Jungkook. I hope I got it right. So the additional is Yes or No and Still With You. So Dreamers 497 to 499, but Still With You is 365 to 371. And then Yes or No 303 to 306. Now with the release of Seven Fates Chaco, people are wondering if we should be also pushing Stay Alive. Okay. For BTS, this is Road to 2 billion and Road to 3 billion. So Butter 1.1391 to 1.396, 3 million gain. My Universe 5 million gain. Boy with Love 6 million gain. Fake Love 4 million gain. Yeah. So I guess the fastest is My Universe to 2 billion. Okay. We are trying to get Winter Ahead to be the first jazz song to 1 billion. Got it. Okay. So that is the reason why Winter Ahead is being pushed to become the first jazz song to reach 1 billion. Okay. Will we get an influencer Olympics? I don't know. Okay. Okay, to Road to 2 billion for Love Me Again, 1.079 billion to 1.082. So this is good that we're not dropping Love Me Again, even though we're pushing Winter Ahead. So it's keeping the pace, the number of streams that it's gaining. Okay, for Jimin, the next song to be pushed to 2 billion, it's Like Crazy, 1.394 to 1.397. So 4 million gain. Jungkook has more. Standing Next to You, Left and Right in 3D. So for Standing Next to You, it's 1.302 to 1.30313. Okay. And then Left and Right, we have 1.120 to 1.123. So 3 million. And then 3D, 1.028 to 1.038, 10 million. That's a good gain. And then we have three songs that are getting pushed to 3 billion. So Jungkook for 7, I think this is going to be the first song to get to 3 billion, 2.564 to 2.590. And then you have Dynamite 2.132 to 2.134. BTS streams are really consistent. And then Who 2.021 to 2.058. That's a lot. Which actually doesn't surprise me because according to the weekly top songs for USA on Spotify, this is just for Spotify, Who is the number one track from Korean acts. Okay. So it's still there. This is just US. There's already a lot of accounts that are doing global. I'm here in the US, so I'll do the US for you. Okay, so it went down 14 spots, but we all know why. It's just because of the album of Taylor Swift. So if we're just consistent, it will stay there for longer and then take down by twice. Fairlane, we need to push more BTS songs to get the algorithm warmed up for backup. Yes. So what I'm gonna do in my weekly roundup, I am creating a playlist on YouTube. I will create a playlist on um, Spotify as well, and Apple Music and Amazon Music. I'll publish it. So, what I would suggest is for you guys to support that for the algorithm to sort of push the song. So, I'll publish that. Um, I'll create several playlists because I need a separate playlist just for the new releases and then separate playlists for BTS and the solo songs. Okay. And then Takedown is the second highest, and then Be Mine. So a lot of the drops are actually just because of the release of Taylor Swift and the number of spots they drop. It's actually not bad. Gnarly is still there, and then One of the Girls by The Weeknd featuring Jenny and Lily Rose Depp. So Apathy is not there. It has been out for quite a while, so the most consistent really has been Who. Be Mine is a new entry, and also Gnarly of Cat's Eye. Those have been the ones that are consistent. And then of course you have The Weekend. It's The Weekend, so you know. Okay, so there you go for the weekly US. Now for daily US, Gabriela is number 1, followed by Who, and then Takedown, Strategy by Twice. So they have 2 songs in the daily US Spotify, and then Be Mine, Gnarly, and One of the Girls. The next one actually is Rose. So she was there yesterday. So the next one after that is Rose. I thought 7 was there. I know this is actually one of the things that I wanted to call attention to. I think we can do better for the individual, if we can get at least one song from each member, right? So but do remember, this is just US, this is not global. There's already a lot of accounts that are doing global. I can do it if you want, but mostly I concentrate on US. Cat's Eye does have some good music. They have exceeded my expectations for real. So in the 2025 Billboard Hot 100 year-end prediction, they are talk of the charts predicted that Who by Jimin is going to make it at number 57. So yay, yay, hey. Let's go and just um we just need to keep on pushing for it to ensure that it stays in there. So most likely it used to be at like number 35 and it went down. As new releases come in, it went down and went down. Now it's number 57. It has sort of sustained its 50s ranking. So I hope that at the end of the year it will be there. It will be a good thing for us. But that is so but yeah, okay. So this is just a an account in X who's actually tracking some of the charts. Longest charting K acts on Billboard Hot 100 or sorry, Billboard Artist 100. So weeks in chart cumulative. BTS is number 1 with 342 weeks in Billboard Artist 100. Next to that is Stray Kids with 111. TXT 92 weeks, and Hypen 77 weeks, twice Yehe 63 weeks, 1758 weeks, NCT 127.54, EXO 47, 80s 45, and Jimin at 40. Okay, so I believe Rose is at number 37. If you're going to ask me for the rest of the members, I haven't checked. As I've said, I just saw this account and I thought, okay, I'll just show you the things that they are tracking, but I'll do a more comprehensive tracking for this one. Next is K soloist on Billboard Artist 100. This is overall soloist and groups. Okay. This one is just for soloists. So Jimin is at number 1 at 40, Rose number 37, Jungkook 33, J-Hope 16, RM 12, V11, Augustine 9, Jin 7, Jenny 7, Nayeon 5, Lisa 5. We need to push the boys. We need to get all of them higher, right? All of them. Okay. Um Next, longest charting albums by K-Ax in Billboard 200. This is not Billboard 200, excluding US, including US. This is just Billboard 200. So BTS dominates Love Yourself Answer, Map of the Soul, Love Yourself Her, Proof B, Map of the Soul Persona. So they are the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you have Jimin Muse, 34 weeks. And then Rose, 27 weeks with Rosie. NewJeans' second EP, Get Up, 26. And then Blackpink, the album, 26. Okay. Next is, what did they chart? Oh, okay. So longest charting songs by or featuring K-Ax on Billboard exclusive US. So this does not include US. BTS Dynamite, Jungkook 7, The Weeknd, One of the Girls, Coldplay, My Universe featuring BTS, BTS Butter, Jimin Like Crazy, NewJeans Hype Boy, Jimin Who, NewJeans Dito, and OMG. They not for Spring Day, they do well in Korea, not so well in the US. Jimin is doing very well. He's really good. He's really doing good in the US. This is his market. Okay. All right. So again, I'm going to do a more comprehensive list. This is just what I saw in their X account. Now, the big article. So Big Hit actually released a press release, and it was all about the brand power that BTS generated during the fashion week. So they said combined all of the Jamaica, all of the boys generated 56 billion in value. They essentially, for the most part, they actually used on inclusive over Lefty. And I can understand why. Because of this post. This post actually, it's not because of this post, but this post explains why. So one of the global head of insight of Carla Oro, which is the PR company that works with Lefty, explained that the couple Ling Kwong and Orm Kornapat, the Ling Orm couple, who supposedly dominated Fashion Week, they posted together 50 times. Okay. And the other thing that no one actually talked about is that they actually took over the account of Dior for like 30 minutes. They were tweeting and posting on IG directly to the account of Dior. First time that it ever happened. So essentially, this post kind of explains that it really is just about volume. That's what it is. They posted 50 times, they took over the account of Dior. It was just a given. Now, I did a huge presentation to you guys last Monday and I explained a lot of things. So I just want to run through certain major points just to make it clear and drive home the point. Number one, Jungkook shared zero posts. He did not post anything about Paris Fashion Week. And then Jimin shared one post with like five pictures. Lefty didn't even rank Jungkook in the top 10. But in inclusive, his SOV, his share of voice, was north of 50%. That's a huge difference. And that only goes to show that these two platforms are measuring two different things. They are not the same. You cannot compare the two. What they are measuring is simply incomparable. Okay. Next, Lefty offers no analysis on value per post. Remember, in their own ranking, V was just number 3. And he posted twice. And he still generated 13.08 million in EMV. Don't you think it's unfair to compare that to somebody who took over the account of the brand and also posted 50 times? But there was no analysis on that, no insight. Nobody saying, hey, look, per post, V was actually generating more than 7.5 million per post. Nobody said that. So the analysis had no actual insight. And then Felix shared 7 times. Lisa, Jenny, Rose, and Jisoo were all between 2 to 4 shares. Okay. Um, and then inclusive, another thing about inclusive, not to say that they are the more credible one, but they lump two people together. And then they rank the other one solo. So it's kind of like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, this is there should have been and nobody mentioned that the Ling Orm couple took over the Dior's account for a while. So there and then the other thing is the traffic. Of course, traffic from countries where Dior is present or countries that they are targeting should become more valuable, right? So and not just Dior, like Celine, any kind of luxury brands. If I am a brand, I want more depth in my analysis, and that was superficial. So it does not any kind of report that all of these people are putting on, they are not as comprehensive. It does not really explain or paint the actual brand value of BTS in an accurate way. The measures were accurate according to what they were measuring. Who was lumped together? Ling Orm couple. So the Ling Orm, which was number one in both Lefty and Inclusive, those are two people. It's a ship. So it's a GL, a girls' love couple, very popular in Thailand, and they are on their second drama together. So you know that in Thailand, BL, boys' love, they are very popular. So same-sex couple, very very popular. Now after the boost of BL, girls' love is also now starting to take over, starting to go up. And this is one of the most popular, if not the most popular couple in Thailand right now. So Ling is the other one and Orm is the other one. So together they are the Ling Orm couple. What Lefty and Inclusive did was lump them together. Oh, sorry. Inclusive. What Inclusive did was lump them together. But then for Lefty, they did mention that the two girls together posted 50 times. And they did not mention that the girls actually took over the account of Dior. So, what the other thing that we just need to understand is that it is a woman's fashion show. So it's not like we're expecting them to dress to not to dress, but to highlight the men. It's a woman's fashion show. So if they highlight the guys that attended the show, then they're going to be called a certain name. So they definitely wanted someone that will be their flag bearer, which was that would be a girl, and they found it with Ling Orm. Now, there are several artists that will be receiving Order of Cultural Merit. It's going to happen this weekend, I believe. This is the same award that BTS got. Okay, they were the youngest recipient. It was unprecedented because they got it in the fifth or seventh year of their career. Usually, um, you would have to be at least like 10, 15 years into your career because you need to establish your contribution to South Korean culture. So them getting this was unprecedented. It was unprecedented. And as you know, they because of this, because of getting this award, they were allowed to not enlist until they got a 2-year extension, basically. But they still had to enlist. Now, just wanted to make sure that everyone understands there are different awards that will be given that day. So the highest honor, one, so there were, I think there are three people that will get the highest honor, which is the Bojang Order Cultural Merit. Sorry, this is the second highest honor. um, the Cultural Merit Award itself has 5 levels. Okay, so the Bojang Order Cultural Merit, which is the second one, it's all cultural merit. It just differs in the number of years you've been active, basically. So this is the Byung Hun. He's gonna get it. I don't know if you remember him, but my for me, I became a fan because he played Storm Shadow in GI Joe, and I'm a comic book fan. So he didn't actually talk in that because that's his character. Ok Guan, Order of Cultural Merit, is going to be given to G Dragon. Okay. So those are the two that will actually get, and they have others. I think there are 5 or 6 that will actually get the cultural merit. All of them are very, very old. Okay. Except for these two, they're the youngest that are going to get it. But the youngest ever has been BTS. Okay. So there are other Korean acts that will actually get the presidential commendation. It will be awarded the same day, but it is not cultural merit. Rose is not getting a cultural merit award. She's getting a presidential commendation. So some of the K-pop acts that you would know, well, he is an actor, and he's going to get a presidential recognition. TVXQ will get a presidential recognition. I think it's high time. I think they should get a cultural merit award. If you ask me, they were the ones who really broke the Japanese market for South Korea. But anyway, so that's TVXQ. It used to be 5. This is the group that actually sued SM. The 3 left and 2 of them stayed. 17 is going to get a presidential commendation. Again, this is not a cultural merit. This is just a recognition from the president, not a cultural merit award. Okay. So, and then Rose will get a presidential commendation as well. And then there is another one, which is the Prime Minister's commendation. And here are some of the groups that will get it, or acts that will get it. Park Boyoung. She was known as the sweetheart of South Korea, the nation's sister, I think they used to call her. She's very pretty. And then 80s, they will get a prime minister commendation. Twice will get a prime minister commendation, and SSERAFIM will also get a prime minister commendation. Again, these are not cultural merit awards. So the two that we know that are going to get the cultural merit awards, G Dragon and Hun. Lee Byung-hun, which I think they deserve after all these years of contributing to the culture of Korea. I think they deserve those. So the others are just recognition from the president and the prime minister to understand. Idol as well is going to get it, and then um, that's 80s, right? Okay. All right. This is the difference. Okay, just for you to make it clear. For the order of cultural merit, you have gold, silver, bronze, green, pink, and the difference is really on the length of your service. So for BTS, it was impossible for them to get the gold because when they got it, it was like 7 years, right? So that's not. It's usually more than a decade. You'll be lucky to get it after a decade. And for G Dragon, he's been in the industry for almost 20 years now. So I think he deserves it. That's good. So there are 3 levels. So gold, silver, bronze, green, and pink. One is lifetime contribution, exceptional and sustained achievement in advancing Korean arts and culture, significant contribution to Korean culture for bronze. prominent contribution to the development of a specific field, and then contribution mainly within Korea or abroad, but in a shorter span of time. Does IU have it? No, not yet. And then the commendation, the president commendation, that is one level below the Order of Cultural Merit. And this is what Rose is going to get along with other artists like 17. It's awarded to individuals or groups who have shown outstanding performance or contribution in their respective fields. So it's not impossible for them to get an order of cultural merit someday, but for now they're getting a presidential commendation. They're not going to get the medal the same way G Dragon and the Byung Hun is going to get it. They're going to get a plaque. Okay, and the letter. And then the prime minister's commendation. This is a step below the presidential commendation, which is what TWICE and SSERAFIM are going to get. And it is given by the prime minister to individuals or teams who have contributed significantly to a specific sector, like pop culture, performance, entertainment, gaming. I do think that at some point, Faker should get the Order of Cultural Merit. He is the biggest e-gamer in the world. Okay. So, in summary, orders of cultural merit, national medals, lifetime, elite recognition, presidential commendation, you're just recognized for having a major contribution to an art or a specific field. And then prime minister's commendation, high performing or emerging recognition. So mostly new ones, new artists. And then minister's commendation, rising stars, technical excellence, or early career contribution. So I hope those are clear. Now, I don't know if you've heard this, but it's very heartbreaking because RM contributed 20 billion, was it 20 billion? 2.1 billion to the Veterans Affairs Ministry, and they lost the money. They lost the money. Now, they're not okay, so sorry. I should correct that. They're not saying they lost the money. They're just saying that they can't identify where the money is coming from. So, they don't know where it went. So, what happened is that when you're making a contribution to the Veterans Affairs Ministry, there is one body that's collecting it. And that one body is the one that's distributing it or giving it or handing it off to the ministry. Since the ministry is saying that whatever funds come our way, we just allocate them to wherever we need it to go. So they're saying we can't identify where it went. They're not saying that it's just gone. They're just saying that we don't know where it went because it's just in one pot and that pot gets distributed. Okay, which I find is really ridiculous. It's in some politician's pocket. Okay, so just wanted to be fair. That's that is what they're claiming. They're not saying they lost it. They're simply saying they can't identify exactly where it went. And because that's infuriating, this is Jin for you. This is your emotional support picture. Okay, I don't know if you remember this, but when they first published this photo, they actually blurred his face, and then Jin actually just published it without the without the blur, allowing everybody to actually look at him. And I can't blame him because with that face, he still looks good. So, you know, sounds like the Red Cross. Okay, this is why government shouldn't run social programs. Sony still publishes these songs outside the US, and the settlement may also have included some remaining royalties and co ownership for Paul McCartney. Oh, is this the case of Paul McCartney? Yeah. Okay. And then this is just something that we should all know. So Wendy actually said that during their conversation during the recording, Jin, sorry, not the recording, but when she appeared in his concert, Jin told him that he was going to appear in her show, just as a thank you. And so Jin, on the spot, actually told the staff that he was going to go to her show. And Jin didn't give the staff a choice. She just said, please put it in schedule. I'm going to appear in her show. And so right there and then, she was approached by one of the staff members to get a schedule and finalize when she can actually go. So this proves that BTS members, they do what they want to do. The same thing with Jimin. He said that it was his decision not to wear anything underneath. he said, he asked the brand, "Can I do this?" The brand said, "Okay, go ahead and do it." And that's what he did. So, to the narrative that they are not under control over their own schedule, absolutely not. We do know that it was Jin's decision to do the concert, to do the tour last minute, and now he was told that the venue was free. He decided to do the encore. Okay, all his decision. Okay, and then the three of the seven kings walked in and attended the breast cancer awareness party. um, and they look so good. But also, it was just a sort of I guess melancholic for me because it was like I just saw you debuting like yesterday. What happened? I just grew up so much. And also special attention to V because he looked like he was just a real king, like a prince who was just walking in a formal event and he decided to wear pants. He really looked like a prince. I don't he just looked so good. They were the first ones to enter. So the fans were actually waiting live, waiting for them. And they were like, oh, when is BTS going to enter? And they were the last ones to enter the venue. I know, right? It just he looks so good. I swear he just looks so good in this outfit. I hope that he does it again. The jeans, the jacket, it's just royalty in casual clothing. um and then this is Karina, and then the other one is Wonyoung of IVE. Karina, of course, is from aespa, but the whole group, aespa was actually there. They look good. Most of the time, I don't like the way they are being styled in these events, but in this event particularly, I like the way that they were styled. I think it was simple, elegant, sophisticated. I like how they looked. And then, of course, Eyelit was there. They performed. They performed for the night and they did well. Everyone was actually dancing on their feet. This is Idol, I think. Yeah, this is Idol. So they were there too. There were a lot of celebrities. These are just some of the ones that I captured. So the Momo, Gio, Nayon, and Chuyu is how it was pronounced. They are the only ones that are going to perform or performed in the Victoria's Secret fashion show. So the rest of the other members didn't go. It's just the four of them. And then I just found this one. Someone sent this to me. It's a long time ago. So Jin and Jimin were guest hosts or MCs of the show for the day. And I just love Jin's expression when he saw the score of BTS, 99%. It was like that expression was like, what the hell is happening? Okay. And then James' birthday was on the 14th, the day after Jimin. And as you know, if you have an X account, I actually posted. I just realized because before James, it was actually Jimin, and then before Jimin, it was J- um Yunjin of SSERAFIM who had a birthday. And I said, that's one hell of a Libra line. I, they should actually collaborate. And then there were a lot of Engine fans who called me out. They said that there's another member of Hisong, a member of NHYPEN who's also a Libra. And then Mocha is also a Libra. That's just one hell of a Libra line. But please give them their positive energy. They appeared in Zane Lowe's show. I haven't watched it. They went on an interview, but everyone was saying they did really well. They were all articulate. And even the three members who are not particularly known for being good English speakers were actually talking. They talked, they expressed themselves well, and they did well. So I'll do a reaction. Probably I'll do a live reaction on this one. So one of the things that they said was that it's really a big family. They're talking about Big Hit and sorry, they're talking about BTS, and they said that sorry, before that, sorry, okay. So they talk about Martin said that Lullaby, their last single, was really an excuse for them to get into the pool because the manager did not want to allow them. So they're like, let's do a music video so we can get into the pool. And then they talk about BTS and they said it's really a big family and they really opened and paved the way for us. We can really fool around and have fun with our music because of them. So it's good that they recognize, right? They know that if it wasn't for the hard work of BTS and then TXT, they wouldn't have all the freedom that they have right now. A lot of the opportunities they're getting because of BTS and TXT. And it's good that they're actually not wasting it. They're working so hard. So I appreciate that. Hope on the Stage, the tickets, Hope on the Stage, the movie is out now. So please buy your tickets and I'll see you in the cinemas. My mom and I are going. And Twice Land, they're streaming a lot of their concerts. Just go to JYP's channel. I think they're going to do another one. So they'll just air all of the concerts of Twice. And then please support Spaghetti, the next single and the next album of SSERAFIM. They said this is going to be very, very as a fun concept for them. And then this is your closing emotional support picture, the matinee line. I miss them so much. And also I just wanted to post these pictures because the last several days there's so much fighting on X. I've blocked maybe another 100 people because they just kept on fighting about brand value, blah 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 blah. At the end of the day, the boys are friends, and that is all that I care about. So I miss them. I want to see them very, very soon. And I'm just the thought of them being happy, being together right now and rehearsing, or at least anytime today, it makes me so happy. Okay, do you have questions? Sorry, I went over 15 minutes. Do you have questions before we go? We need Yoongi. Okay, next time I'll do the Yung line. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Sorry for going over time. Bye.